Hello everyone, good evening, and yeah, welcome to the second edition of the Colombo JavaScript Meetup June edition. And I got Shark here and Pubudu here as usual to start our session. So yeah, I think you already know that we had an submission form set up to get new speakers to the Colombo JavaScript Meetup. So I got a sudden email that said somebody has applied for the session. So it's Shark here. So he want to talk about React and custom hooks. So we actually thought of giving him a chance. Shark is actually a student from Thurston College, and he's after the O-levels, and he's doing A-levels in 2023. And cool, and in Maastricht. So Shark, we had the opportunity to talk with him before the session also, and it's really good to have Shark in the session. So I would like to hand over the session to Shark here. All the best.
Thank you, Jadivya. So, hello everyone. My name is Shakib Iris. I'm currently studying in Thurston College, and I do React programming and tech YouTubes via my YouTube channel. So today, let's discuss how to do real-time form validation with custom hooks in React. So let's go forward. Okay. So let's discuss about why forms are so important. Why do we need to validate a user input? Different ways to validate user inputs, reusing an input component with props and forwarding ref-like things. And let's discuss how to build our own hooks. And yeah, like that, let's carry out our session so you can see a demonstration of what we are going to discuss today on the right hand side of the presentation. There are somewhat like once there's the event, and if you it manages touch state, and if you click another place after you typing, then it summons to error. That's the project demo. So let's carry on. So why forms are important? So when it comes to web apps, form is a great way to communicate with user in a web app. Normally we use forms to gather data from our users, but yeah, uh, if user is having a bad experience when he use forms, and if you show only one error, if we do different mistakes. Actually, I also did that before I start learning React, but now I know how to fix that issue with showing custom error messages. So that's the place where forms come to action. So let's carry on. Why do we need to validate a user input? Basically, we need validation to match the data entered by user according to our rules and regulations. That means we have to. That means sometimes it may cause security issues if we do not validate a user input. So it's an essential thing when it comes to authorization like things, and also sometimes he can like security errors by request sending some malware like security issues through forms. So the next is different ways to validate a user input. So basically we can validate a user input in 3 different ways with every keystroke. That means on change event in JSX input element. Then after user finishes typing on blur event, and once user click the submit button on submit event in form JSX elements. So let's see how we can see them in action. So sorry. So basically we can manage this validation with every keystroke like this by setting up state and triggering that state with an input event like on change here. Likewise, we can manage validation with every keystroke. So when it comes to is touch, say we can manage it with on blur event. Likewise, then validation after user click the submit button, we can do it in here like in the submit form handler function. We can check whether the entered data that we checked with every keystroke is valid, and if not valid, we can send an error that we see. You can see we are validating the complete validation password has error variable. It becomes true if the password is not valid and the whether the input field is touched. So once the user click submit button, whether he or she doesn't touch the state. So to show error, we have to make sure to show an error, we have to set this touch state to true. Then also you can do this like passing and referent and focus like things. So then let's move into the our next slide. Okay, so seems like there's something going wrong with the PowerPoint presentation. So give me a second until I fix that issue. So I'll uh, seems like today the presentation god is not with me. Uh, PowerPoint, please help me. Okay.
Yeah, let's see. Till then, we got a few comments from the viewers also. And Dulara, thank you for joining. And I think Sachin is there. And Kajan, oh, sorry about my pronunciation on your name. And thank you very much for everybody joining in. So we got a little bit of problem in the presentation, but yeah, hope you can manage it. Yeah. So, Prabhu, what do you think about having React hooks since I think it's in 16, right? You're in mute. Subudhu, you're in mute. Yeah.
I think everyone have issues with that presentation code today.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, React hooks since 2016. I think
No, I think the
no,
version 16, right?
no,
The
sorry,
version
sorry, sorry.
16. Yeah.
Version 16. Yeah. I think it's been here for quite a while now, but the most frustrating thing is I think still many people haven't adopted it. Still many
Are you
people
sure?
haven't adopted it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's been 17 now, right?
Yes, I know,
And
I
it's
know, I
about
know,
3 years, I think, 3 years or 4 years, I think. Yeah.
I
Oh,
know,
God.
I know. But there are people who haven't adopted it actually. So,
Yeah, we got a
uh,
question till now from,
right.
yeah, Kajanan, I think. Yeah, I pronounced it correctly this time, I think. How to make a CEO in React in Dynamic?
Dynamic in the sense, Fajanan, what did you mean dynamic? Can you explain it a bit?
Yeah, I think based on the props or something that changing, I think. Let's see.
Yeah, yeah.
On, yeah,
If
more
it's change,
explanation we can do.
if it's changing the dynamic data, we can, of course, use next something like Next.js to render the
Yeah,
pages on the
yeah,
server side and then send it to a client side. Yeah, if the data change periodically, we can use static site regeneration in Next.js, where it checks whether your data has changed and then re-renders your static site. SSG, SSR, yeah, there's a
yeah,
quite a thing.
yeah. Okay, so I will add some to it. So basically,
Yeah,
now search engines, bots are a kind of good in parsing JavaScript and rendering single page applications,
yeah,
as said by Google, but there are some other search engines apart from Google too. So if you're planning to support every single thing, that there are about 2 to 3 options. One is pre-rendering. So you render the page only for you generate the HTMLs, pre-render the page, and you just serve them for the bots, not the real visitors. So just for the bots, you just then give the pre-rendered page,
yeah.
like
Render it during the build time.
build time. So since it is kind of hard to manage, pain in the ass, so there are some tools to do that. We call it like server-side rendering. So you can use server-side rendering to build a page from server and send the rendered page to the bots and the users. So to do that, there are several frameworks supported. From me and Tubudu, we are kind of biased. So we actually recommend Next.js. There's Next
Oh,
also from Vue. So yeah.
yeah. I think
And
he's
so we
talking
got
about React.
back. Yeah, cool. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
the session back. So we are going to go to the custom hooks and do the input validations. And yeah, other
let's
questions for the later time. And
yeah.
here's the stage for Satya. We are going down.
Actually, there was something happened in my laptop. I was not able to at least close PowerPoint, so I closed with Task Manager, and that's now I think it's okay. Okay, so but even if you do validation, as I mentioned in the above way, you have to write thousands of code lines to validate with every keystroke after submission, like things. So, but you can fix that with uh, reusable components and the magic of custom hooks. So let's have a dive into custom hooks now before an input component. So here we have our input component. So So I have passed these events with props, and I have some ref here to trigger the focus method. So here I have used forward refs. So what is forward refs? Basically, forward refs allow us to refer something inside the component, that means an element, using the child element. So when it comes to props, when props change every time, something like re-renders occurs, and same thing with state. But when it comes to forwarding this, we can do that task without re-renders and touching state. So here I have passed this function to use imperative handler. So I can use this focus to trigger once user click the submit button, and if the entered data is not valid, we can fix that with uh, focus method. So here I have used it inside another component. Like this, input label like this. So let's go to the next slide. Let's build our own hooks. So hooks are functions. That means if you hover over use state hook after you import it, you can see it says that it takes a parameter with the initial value, and it returns two things within an array, uh, the data, that means state, and the uh, another function which allows us to change the state. So there are some rules used in hooks. You must call hooks inside functional components, and you cannot call them inside regular JavaScript functions. If you do so, your program will be crashed. So then another rule bind with custom hooks. You have to when you naming the custom hook, you have to start with use where. If not, React won't consider it as a custom hook. Also, in when using use effect, you cannot call use effects inside conditions. That means if statement. So the solution is you have to add use effect, and you have to pass the condition inside of use effect. So that's the solution for it. That condition like error comes only with use effect. So here I have created a user input custom hook. So here I have the value and is touch state input ref. Input is valid. That means so here I have a validator which has been passed as a parameter of this main function, and here it returns the our condition. That means under what parameters it should be validated, like length must be greater than 6, like things. Then the complete validation, that means validate whether the input is valid or not, and is touched. So then we have our value change handler, then input blur handler, then input focus handler. So here I have set is touch true, because as I mentioned earlier, I use only focus if once the user click the submit button, only if the input fields are invalid. So then I have this reset function. It reset this value to as the initial value, and then after user click the submit button, after data is being sent to backend, the form will be reset as this. Then I have passed those these things except is touch to an object like this. Then I have used them in here and put some refer them as name value, and you can add any name as you prefer. Then is valid name input focus, name has error, name change handler, name input blur handler, and reset name. Then I have wired up them with this JSX component, and I have passed them as props and forwarding refs. Here you can see I have used ref to connect to this ref, and then these events I have connected to these object properties. And yeah, so that likewise we can use an input custom hook. So then let's see how can we build a use HTTP custom hooks, sorry, a custom hook. So yeah, um, again it's going in a bad way. PowerPoint, please help me. It's not responding.
I think we should give it some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Why that's happening, Chatu? Shall we answer some questions here?
Yep. Am I mute? Oh no, I'm
No,
back.
you're
Okay.
now about Next.js. I think some people for Next.js means it's a React framework actually. It's not something completely
Yep.
different.
Not a library, it's a framework.
Yeah, it's a framework. It just makes things a lot easier for React.js, especially by adding server-side rendering, static-side generations, and everything. So it's like CRA, but there's a lot more in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a CRA fan earlier.
Same here.
And later Pubudu migrated to Next. Yeah, since viewers may got lost on the context, so we actually talking about the custom validators in using hooks.
Yeah.
So as Shakya was pointing out, he's actually going to create an custom hook so that he can use the validation logic as a reusable component. With every component that you can use that hook to the validation, and yeah. Okay, how's the screen going on, Shakya? Did you manage to open the PowerPoint again?
Yeah, seems like stucky again.
Oh yes, things happen like this when me and Pubudu do a kind of what do you call it, a pair programming, that we are trying to do the pair programming first time, and and Pubudu's Mac got stuck.
Yeah.
We actually did the session in between. We actually put the connection in between the session.
And can you remember our first live stream?
Yeah, it's used with my internet connection. That's why I thought I remember.
It's internet connection, my internet connection, and we were just talking for I think about 10 minutes, and looks like we have been dropped out of the stream.
Yeah, we actually we didn't put the stream on, right? We were in mute, I think.
Yeah. I was like I have multiple machines in here. in one machine running the stream, in one machine running a Skype call, and then doing a hell lot of stuff. So
Yeah,
it was really
get the things.
confusing, and also our connection didn't played well that day. So the first thing I did was remove my connection.
Yeah, get a new voice, move to a new voice.
Yeah. Yeah, Kajanan says he already tried React Helmet and it's not working. I think it might be that because of that issue. React
Yeah, I
Helmet
just
is
put that comment.
deprecated. Yeah, React Helmet. I think it doesn't support React 16 plus. You might have to try React Helmet async.
So there's another. I'm so curious about these custom hooks. Are these any specific use cases where the only option is using custom hooks? What do you like that?
Specific use case means
Yeah.
sync keyboard. Yeah, Shaka can
When
answer this
some,
one.
yeah, when something repeats, like if you have to do repeatedly something for a specific task, then you can use custom hooks for that thing.
Yeah. Uh, I think he explained more, right? Yeah, and also there were some abstract methods that deprecated the sheaf component amount. And yeah, let's put that question to the end of the session so it will
Yeah,
be
yeah,
easy. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of messed up. Sorry, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And Kajaran, I will also get answer to that question also end of the session.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, people will going to get mixed up and we going to hijack the chapter session in between. So I'm not. I don't want to hijack that one.
Okay. So Shaka, I think you are ready, no?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
So
here we go.
here we go again. Okay, then stage is yours.
Okay, so everything was went off me and PowerPoint got stuck. But I was able to manage that one. So we stopped at use HTTP custom hook. So here I have shown a demo code snippet where I have built a custom hook. So as you can see, we have data state and a loading state and an error state. Then we have this function wrap with use callback. So we have to wrap this with use callback because we are returning that function, and once you put that function in inside your use effect and run your React app, you will get an error like missing an dependency like things. So that means since we are taking this function from outside of that outside use effect, we have to put this in as an dependency. So if we only put this one without use callback inside that dependency, it may call an infinite loop because once the fetch data changes, then again data will be fetched, and likewise it will be an infinite loop. So here we can avoid that one with use callback hook um, in React. So then afterwards we can check whether response is okay. If not, we can throw a new error. Then we can like this try catch block. So then I have return data, loading state, and fetch data. And if there's any error, we can pass it like this. So seems like it's getting stuck again. Why is this happening?
I think you already have the code snippets in the GitHub. I think, right?
Yeah,
Let's go
yeah.
through that one and later come to the PowerPoint.
Okay.
And I think as a backup, Sharky already had the snippets put into the GitHub to share with you. So I think we can just get that one going on, explain from there.
Okay, so I think you can see my, yeah. So here I have
Yeah.
a hooks folder. Yeah, I forgot to mention that one. You have to make a hook folder with parallel to your component folder. Then yeah, we were talking about use HTTP, and I grabbed this with use fallback. And here it's not required to put any dependencies here, since this set loading and set data are React built-in functions. We are importing from use state, so that's it's not necessary to put them inside, and yeah, it will show compiled successfully message. So then then yeah, that's the thing, and let's move on to the Q&A session. I
Cool.
just wanted, yeah, that's the thing I was going to talk about today, like books. Yeah, you can use hooks as you asked earlier. Use custom hooks. You can use it anywhere where the code repeats, and also make sure you have used your built-in hook. Use imagination to build some hooks likewise.
Yeah, and yeah, cool. So yeah, let's open for the Q&A session first. The things related to the session, and then let's move to the things related to React. Then let's move to the things related to JavaScript, and things not related to JavaScript. Let's put it to another session.
Yeah.
Cool. So I start with hooks. So I'm going to ask some questions since waiting for the sessions. So Shaki, did you had time to see how was the React Live before the introducing of the hook?
Uh, Actually, have never used lifecycle methods earlier. Like
That's good.
I
So yeah.
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, if you read some tutorials or something like, there will be class components
yeah, that
and
means
functional components. So
yeah, you can call constructor method inside your class and pass props like this and pass state with this dot state. Likewise, you can use state, and you can manage use effect hook with lifecycle methods like component did update. Likewise, you can manage your state. Sorry, use effect hook.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it was really kind of a messy at that time, but we loved it at that time because we didn't know about there's something called hooks.
Yeah.
So they, later they introduced the hooks, and there was a kind of uh, hard to tell the people about the differences. So then people got a little bit confused, like use effect and use state is there. So it's kind of a messy situation. And there was use reducer, it just announced. And but after a while, people got used to it and see the benefit of using that one.
Yeah. People were like, okay, we have a bunch of lifecycle methods. I think
Yeah.
four,
Is there
five,
any
six. I
tool?
can't remember. Yeah, everything
Yeah.
they merged to one thing, use effect, and there's also use layout effect, and
Yeah.
everyone was wondering whether can we do all those stuff with these two. So I think at the moment it has proven that we can use it, and we can use create an entire application without classes. But classes are not dead. You can use it. There are some instances you might need it.
Just like if you're building some libraries, you may need the use cases of the classes, so it's not deprecated and it's not going to be removed from the React core. It will be there,
Yeah,
and but there are few lifecycle method will be removed because they are already deprecated,
yeah,
and there are few alternative methods also given because they are not good practices and people make tend to create and uh, bad code habits and end up in the broken build.
yeah. So guys, now when it comes to that deprecation thing, most of the time React will be warning you, giving you warnings in the console, saying this
Yeah,
method is deprecated, this method is deprecated. When they show that, you please fix that issue. Please remove that method and use the new one.
yeah. So Sharti, can you explain a little bit about the on blur method? What is going to be there?
Uh,
When
yeah, with on blur event we can use it once if user click on the input component and then click on any other place, then we can use on blur event to trigger that event and show an error if entered data is not valid. That means focus mean use we have to think that user has entered some data. Likewise, we can then validate that data.
yeah. And I think you also talked about what is that? I could remember. Wait. Okay, till that Pubudu you can handle till I get remember that point.
Yeah.
That
So right. So,
yeah,
guys, if
cool.
you have any questions regarding hooks and about the presentation, please ask it, and Shaki will
And
be here to answer.
yeah, I remember that you have that validation method that you're getting it from to the use input hook.
Yeah.
So let's say if it is how you going to validate it if it is a email or not, how you can do that.
You can add like regular expressions like things to validate passwords like things, and email validation you can check whether like in HTML whether at symbol is typed or not. Likewise you can validate the data entered by user.
Yeah, Kajanan, we will be sharing the slides. We will be uploading it to the Google Docs and we'll be sharing a link. And also, I think Shakya also has an code repo in GitHub. We will be sharing that one also. That's a question. And Dular asked, will this custom hooks replace the React form libraries like Formic? Formic, okay, so, for the Sakya, and I will be adding
Yeah.
it if it.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
question.
surely when it comes to third-party libraries, they example in you Redux, they also use custom hooks. That means any hook that doesn't build by React is considered as a custom hooks. So yeah, then I don't custom hooks replace Formic. Yeah, so Formic we can use Formic for only form validation, but you can use custom hook anywhere, any place where the code repeats and like things you can use custom hook. Only thing you have to imagine it and implement the function properly.
It's cool, yeah. To add, there are few libraries already have for the form validation, which has the hooks already built. And since we had to talk about Redux, right? Who
Sorry,
to add to that one? It's been a very long time that we talk about Redux, right?
Redux. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
actually,
Since Aki is also
yeah,
here,
yeah.
I would like to talk about history of the Redux. What do you think about
Oh,
it?
yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So Redux library is actually built by a person called Dan Abruno. He's actually from not from any computer science background, or not even had a proper software engineering background. So he built Redux as his first library, and he did a machine session. You can find it in YouTube that he when he introduced the Redux. So Redux is actually a very small library where he actually code the base library in the session itself. So he created the Redux in the session, and Redux got popular that later he wrote an article saying that you don't need Redux. Redux is actually kind of good solution for a complex application. So he actually explained that most of the small React application you don't need Redux. At that time, there wasn't even hooks are there. So later they introduced the context API that you can pass the state to the child components very easily rather than props reading. So Redux was built by that person, and Dan Abruno got hired to the Facebook, and he's maintaining the React core now.
Yeah.
So that's
And
kind of an inspiring story.
exactly. So his theory was just because you know something, you know that the library is there, you don't have to use it. Only use it if it's absolutely necessary. But that doesn't mean we always have to do things our own way without using any libraries, which already have solved the solution. So already have solved the problem we are having. We don't need to reinvent the way we when it comes to that. But there are many occasions that we need to do customizations, change stuff, do things our way. So in that way we can use things like custom hooks and own custom functions, custom libraries. And then if you write something good, make sure you open source it, and you might end up like Dan Abramov. Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah. Right. So, coming back to the question, Chatu, now Dular has mentioned about Formic. We have some other stuff also, right? Like Formic.
yeah, we have yeah, bias. We both use React hook form. Yeah,
Yeah,
React hook form has good support for TypeScript,
and
and it,
also for React hooks, it's based on mainly based on hooks, and also it says it's faster than Formic. And when I was using it was faster. So uh, it's better at that time. I think now also it might be better because I
yeah,
haven't looked at Formic for a long time.
yeah. I think Formic has introduced hooks. At that time,
Mm.
there wasn't on the bandwagon for moving hooks that which actually increased the popularity of the React hook form. I
Mm.
think. And for the if you are going to jump into React hook form, make sure that they will have breaking changes every about 3 months of time. So there will be
Yeah.
breaking changes that you have to change your all the forms if you're going to update. So
Now, React hook form community is really good, and its developer is very friendly. I have seen him commenting on its GitHub issues and PR issues. He's really friendly, right? He's a good guy. But one small thing is he's moving really fast. and he tends to release breaking changes so often. So version 6 to version 7, there are breaking changes. You have to go through your code and then sort it out. Otherwise, you are going to break everything up.
Yeah,
So
they will give you a guide, a migration
yeah,
guide, but you will have to do if you have a lot of forms. You have
yeah,
to do a lot of work.
yeah. The clear guide is there. So
Yeah,
guide is there, but there's also work.
yeah. Some of the changes are necessary
Mm.
to support many of the new things. Like they had a inbuilt support for YAP. Later they want to add support for other validator libraries, so they had to move it out.
Yeah.
So Shark, is there any more
Yeah.
things to add?
Um, yeah, nothing.
So yeah, we actually waiting for more questions. Let's see.
I think we skipped some questions, right?
Yeah, let's go back again there.
There's a question from Dular.
Yeah, I think it's connected to the previous one, right?
Yeah, we talked about the lifecycle methods and their duplications.
I think it's about. I'm so curious about custom hooks. I think that one connects to the one that you already showed now. Okay, he's asking, is there any hook that going to replace component will mount? I think. No, I think so. Yeah. If Dular is there, can you little bit explain the question so we can actually work on the answer? Okay, and I skipped one question that there is support OG tags in tangents about React helmet. I think helmet has it. So about OG tags. OG tags are mostly used in social media platforms. So we call it the social tags or something. So mostly in Twitter and Facebook. So they actually send you an renderer to get the OG tags. Unfortunately, what happens is if you put that in CRA project, so what happens is it's going to render the index HTML, and if there's any OG text there, it will be shown into there. But if you have slash URLs, but it won't going to update that part because React helmet things will be pushed from the JavaScript, which is already rendered in, not rendered in the HTML. That's the case. Even though Google bot is intelligent, still Facebook bot is not that intelligent. And about OG tags, I think it is the recently from GitHub. When you share any GitHub link now, even issues or repo links, you will get a very likely image with that all the repo information or the issue information. So it's enriching the social media tags now. Right, he's asking how to overcome component will mount with React hooks. Google, are you going to start?
No, I think
Are you
you
going to
better
edit data?
start. Yeah, I think you better start it. Component
Let's
will
put
mount.
it to the chart first, then
Yeah.
I will come back.
Yeah, I think you can use effect to life cycle methods. Actually, I don't. I have even I learned these life cycle methods. I have never implemented them. I think you can use effect to replace it. So, Chatwal, what's your idea?
Yeah. So I just want to know the use case first. I think then it will be better to answer that question.
Yeah,
Whereas
for
most
what
of
he's
the
going to use it.
things,
Yes.
yeah, most of the things actually covered in use effect, where you have zero dependencies, or you can put empty array, or you can put the dependency in that use effect. These three actually created few different hooks. Actually, the thing, all these three what I explained will be run a complete different behaviors. If you don't put anything in there, it's going to be rendered every time, and it's going to be kind of a loop. And if you put blank, like a blank array in there, it's going to be work as an on mount event. So it will be called once. Or if you put an dependency in there, if whenever that variable change, it's going to be called that one.
You can use callback, right, to avoid unnecessary loops.
Yep. It depends. Sometimes you putting use callback is going to be a performance nightmare.
Yeah,
So there's a good,
before we open that question, let me finish this question with. So
yeah,
if Durara's case is to run something just before the component is mounted, you can always put that code inside the component before the return. Inside the component before the return, you can write the code and it will be executed right before the component renders.
yeah, before the hooks also.
Right? Yeah.
That's a
So
really
now let's get back to
interesting.
that big thing.
Yeah, I think there's a good article from Kenzie Dots explaining about React callback and React use memo. So these two are uh, really good hooks, but you need to use it very care. Otherwise, it's going to be a very performance intensive one if you don't use it in correct way. I think I can share that article. Wait, can share it.
Yeah, I got the link.
And I saw that there's a question on React performance also.
Oh no, I
And for the
saw you
hooks, I think there's a good Get article which I will share to uh, Fubudu, and he will be putting into the screen.
okay.
Until then, I will open that one.
Heather, can you send me that Kenzie Dots article also?
Yeah, I currently doing it. Yeah, when to use memo and when to use callback. So this is very explanatory article. I read it
Yeah.
actually about a while back. I think I also shared this with Shakir.
Yeah.
Actually, it basically says only optimize for performance if there's an issue. If there's an issue with your
That's
performance, then you have to optimize for it. But before optimizing, make sure you measure it first.
yeah, for the performance part. For this one, I think
Yes.
you need to read it.
Yeah,
Because based
definitely.
on the dependency is going to be behave differently.
Yeah. Because improving the performance also comes with a cost.
Yep. There's a good title in his article says why is use callback is worse, and he has a good examples put in some things and
Mm.
explaining that one.
Just don't get us wrong. We are not saying you shouldn't use it. Use
Yeah,
it when required, not all the
yeah.
time.
When sometimes using it improve your performance, and other way around, it decreases your performance if you use it.
Incorrectly.
Yeah. So it's
Perfect.
going to be a React Cook session today.
Yeah. Right. So, guys, any other questions? Did you miss any questions?
I'm going to the get tutorial, right? In that, he has actually have the example with how to testing that first also. And wait, as I remember, it's actually free course. So yeah, it's free. I just want to confirm it. Okay, cool. You can share
Getting
this
that
one too.
right.
And Shaki, that's also a good place to have a look around.
Okay.
There's another question, I think.
Yeah. Can you get it highlighted to me
Yeah,
after
one
this one goes
second.
up?
Right.
Yep. So, Shaki, you want to answer it or shall I go with it?
You did.
Okay. So, Lighthouse is actually a tool from Google. So it is running in your dev tools. You can install it. I think it's already coming with it, or you need to install it. I don't remember. It's already there in my
It's already
dev.
there.
Yeah, because there was a time that you need to install it as a plugin or something. I think that now it's there. So in Lighthouse, it actually have a different ways of measuring things. So it depends on where you running it in the production environment, because the way React works in a debug and production is too different. I mean, the CRA and even Next.js. So when you're running in a debug, it doesn't do the optimizations. Only when you do the production, it do the pre-shaking and all the optimizations. So if it is there, then you need to go through the points that put it in the Lighthouse. Like if you say about a thing, it takes more time to load the server. That means your server is in a not a closed location. So like if your server is in USA and the first thing is it gives a very low marks if the server performance is not good. Like if it is not running in SSD. So there are various things that before the code actually affect your performance. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. And also, as Chatu said, it behaves differently in the development and production environment. So, if you are measuring performance of a React application, first build it and then run it. Build it and run the built version of that application and then measure the performance. That's equal. That's a bit similar to what the user will get. Otherwise, you are going to get a lot of stuff. For example, in Next.js, there are special scripts that it's adding. I think that's also there in Create React app also, to make sure it's listening to the to your file changes and then reloading. There are extra special scripts that they have, and they are very performance intensive, and those stuff will not be there in the final production build. So when you build it, those will be removed. So build it, then measure the performance.
And for the React, you can actually do a profiling. So you can build a profile edition and do the profiling, and you can get the what you call the sitemap, right? Not the sitemap. The where you actually gives what are the dependencies, what takes more size in the
Yeah.
JavaScript, which part, which script actually having the biggest part of the loading thing. So you can actually optimize it. Like you can lazy load components, you can actually lazy load JavaScript files to reduce the initial load, because most of the performance actually these matrices coming from the initial load. So first, what do you call it? First content paint. So
Yeah.
how much seconds is going to do the first content paint? So if you can optimize that one, that's going to be a good part. So that one you can optimize using caching the resources, saving it from the edges like CDNs or what are things that make the serving part of the JavaScript and the resources into closest location of the user, which makes very fast to load that one.
And that profile is there on the React developer tools.
Yeah,
The
in React
pro,
Web is there.
yeah, the browser extension. You have to install that, and then you will get that performance profile.
And good point from the Dular. Make sure that there are some browser extension also badly affect its performance measurements. Exactly. So if you have these developer tools like and also ad blockers, when you do the lighthouse profiling, they also affect because they are actually injecting some JavaScript into the loading part.
Yeah.
And
Password
we got
managers.
an ops. We got an ops. Arshad is here. We get an. If you want to improve, unify the JS and CSS, use a CDN for CSS and JavaScript, and use a varnish server that is a very performant caching server with Nginx. Is another reverse proxy, which also very performant the servers for other caching. Can optimize the Nginx parameters accordingly. So yeah, you need to optimize your Nginx deployment to make it more performant. So all these are from an Amazon guru. So
Yeah.
thanks Zach for joining and commenting here.
I think we
Anything
had
from
that
Prabhudu?
in one of our previous meetups, I think.
Yeah. So yeah. Is there any other questions?
And also when it comes to performance, there's you can always optimize the images and use source sets to give different image sizes for different resolutions and give multiple image formats. Like there are some browsers which support WebP. So
Yeah.
WebP is a very small image size, but make sure you give a fallback because all the browsers does not support WebP, sadly.
And use like CrowdFront from Amazon if you have money to do the caching, or there are other solutions that also do the same thing. Yeah, but from my experience, CloudFront works well. And also adding to the previous one, as Zach said, that Nginx parameters are depends on the application. So if you are running an static, if you are going to deploy a static website, it's going to be kind of different than you deploying a PHP some application or Python application. And use an APM, application performance monitor tool, to the application for the see the observability matters. Yeah, for Kanjan it's actually WebP, web after
WebP,
P.
it's WebP.
Yeah, or WebP. There are custom Lambda functions that you can use to convert your already uploaded images to the WebP in the edge. There was an application and a sample which I went through recently.
And I think that Next.js image component also does it, but use it
Use
carefully.
with caution.
I am not using it this
Yeah,
game.
cool. So any other? So session is going for towards performance, I think.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and Shaki also had these issues when he started. When he had a chat before this session, he also had some questions regarding performance. As a general thing that I say, that if you don't have any issue, don't focus on performance first. We call it premature optimization. So don't
Yeah.
do premature optimizations. Just deploy it and then do kind of measurements and then try to do the optimization. Don't start it from beginning, and it's going to be very painful that if you're going to start it.
Cool.
Okay, cool. I think it's almost 1 hour and 5 minutes. Past.
Yes.
Yeah, it went really well, I think. Yeah. Is there any more other questions, or we are going to call it a day? Hmm. Okay, coin price. Coin price.
Go on.
Yeah. So that's it. So we are going to close the Q&A. Or there's
Huh?
another question. This is not related to JS. What is the Golang future? The future of the Golang.
I can't answer it.
Another deadly and yeah, that product from Google.
Deadly or dead? Or
I think it's no, no, no. I'm not going to. Uh, Zach, this is a public forum, man. Yeah, I'll catch you in later.
right.
Yeah. So
We
anyway,
yeah.
to at that one, Google just announced in I/O that Dart in server side is kind of a stable, and you can use the officially Google Dart runtime Docker image, which is actually about 11 MB. So they're actually pushing Dart towards server-side language too. So Golang is also from Google. Uh,
Which is
so
built for that purpose, right?
it's kind of built for server-side applications and cloud-native applications mostly.
Mm. Now that is doing that.
Yeah, Dart also doing that from the same company.
We'll keep it there.
Yeah, we keep it.
The
We just stop in there.
yeah, audience will decide then.
Yeah, but they had an blog update, I think, from June 3rd. Yeah, about a beta. Some beta version is ready,
Mm-hmm.
so which means people actually working there. They have a survey and about how people use the Golang and the Golang adaptation. So let's see that it's not going to be put into the Google graveyard. Hope it's going to be stay for a while. And yeah, so and we're going to start from Shakti. Shakti, you've done really good session, and
Thank you.
it's really insightful. And thank you very much for joining the meetup and asking to do a session. It's so
Thank
nice
you
of you.
very, thank you very much for
Uh,
accepting my request and supporting me throughout this session. Thank you very much for supporting me. Thank you. And also, I have learned lots
yeah,
of things from both of you.
yeah. I think you already in really good position, and you already learning really fast also. When we actually had a few chat with you, and you actually already done that one, and that's really good of you. And I think yeah, we can see you in more sessions, and uh, I really wish you a really bright future.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'd like to
Yeah,
see you in more events too.
definitely.
And I'm going
So
to thank Pupudu, who's actually this way. Wait,
no,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right
this
hand.
way.
that
Yeah, left hand in the right position. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Pupudu for helping me out organizing this session and sponsoring the sponsor StreamYard to host this at same time into Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And we also thank everyone who's actually in this session, uh, helping the Sake and all the meetup and keeping the community going on and asking the questions and joining and listening to the session. Yeah, I think I covered all everyone, right?
Yeah, for now, at the moment, yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And
Till
and
then,
also and also you have to thank the people who provide the refreshments. Yes, meetup.
oh, no, we don't have any refreshment, but
Yeah.
stay safe. So we have another week of lockdown, so stay safe and help each other. If, please check around your fellow developers or your fellow friends around need some help in this hard time, because some of the companies may have done layoff, or some of the companies lose their projects due to this COVID time. So if one of your friends need help, please help you around. So tough times doesn't last. Tough people do. So help everyone uh, around you, and let's work together and try to be survive from this time. And see you in few sessions soon. And another feedback for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Till
Okay.
next meetup.
Till next meetup.